Welcome to the Blueprint of Life video 18. In this video, we're going to be discussing the mutations, how they arise, and then what effect they can have on the genetics. So, mutations are changes in the DNA information on a chromosome. They provide variation for natural selection to act upon, and they may lead to the generation of new alleles. Mutations can either be lethal and lead to cell death, or a cell may live, which having this mutation and increasing the variation in the population. If the mutation is in the gametes, this mutation will be passed on to the next generation. If the mutation is in somatic cells, this will just stay in that individual. Mutations can be both beneficial, harmful, or neutral in terms of an organism's survival. So, in terms of the effects on genes and chromosomes, there are a few things that can happen to genes which cause these mutations and cause the change in the genetic structure of an organism. So, we have a base substitution. So, instead of there being an adenine, there might be a thymine, which changes the code, therefore changes the amino acid, therefore changes the polypeptide, and so on and so forth. Similarly, with a frame shift, where we can have bases lost or added, which changes the order of the sequence. We might also have a duplication of the gene sequence, so it repeats itself again when it's not meant to. In terms of an effect on the chromosomes, chromosomes may be deleted, duplicated, or be attached to one another because they haven't separated correctly during replication. Therefore, it can either lead to missing chromosomes or having extra, and that's what we see in Down syndrome with trisomy 21, having 3 chromosomes of the 21st chromosome. In terms of the factors which cause mutations, they are termed mutagens, but they refer to environmental factors that induce these mutations. They can be classified into 3 categories: chemical mutagens, biological mutagens, or mutagenic radiation. In terms of chemicals, we have things like alcohol and tobacco, which people ingest, and then we have irritants and poisons and things that people breathe in, such as asbestos or coal. We then have biological mutagens, so viruses and microorganisms can change the functioning of genes. And then we have mutagenic radiation, which has got to do with radioactive materials such as atomic bombs and radiation in the form of X-rays. And then we have UV radiation is also a mutagen. Just a bit more on radiation. So, the UV radiation from sunlight can cause bases to be deleted in a DNA strain. Sometimes thymine bases link together, which causes the DNA molecule to fold, and therefore preventing replication. Because of our lifestyle and changes in our lifestyle activities, and because of the depletion of the ozone, there is increased exposure to UV radiation in the population of today. In terms of ionizing radiation, that's the radiation that is from things like radioactive materials or X rays, and they can occur either deliberately or by accident. So, they can break DNA strands and even whole chromosomes if the energy level is high enough, and they can result in cell death depending on the damage to the genetic material. Which is why we try to, if we can, prevent X rays because that is transmitting ionizing radiation to the patient having the X ray done. In terms of the evidence that we used to say that radiation is a mutagen, we have the death of scientists that worked with radiation in the first stages when they first thought that it was a mutagen, and lots of them found themselves in an early death. We see it in the victims of Chernobyl, where they have higher levels of infertility and genetic mutations, and that's because of their exposure to radioactive material. And then there was research conducted between 1925 and 1940 that demonstrated a link between leukemia and other cancers. And they had increased exposure to ionizing radiation. that's video 18. Make sure you tune in for video 19.